Hey, welcome back, adventurers, to another inspiring episode of Character Talks, the podcast where we delve into the lives and minds of extraordinary individuals who redefine the meaning of resilience, passion, and purpose. I am your host, Chris Christie, and today we have a truly remarkable guest whose journey embodies the spirit of adventure and the pursuit of inner peace. Our guest today is Katie Arnold, a name that resonates deeply within the worlds of journalism, literature, and ultra running. Katie is a longtime journalist and editor at Outside Magazine, where she has chronicled some of the most compelling stories about the great outdoors and the human spirit. Beyond her editorial prowess, Katie is an elite ultra runner, having conquered grueling races across the country with a blend of determination and grace. But that's not all. Katie is also the author of the captivating book, Brief Flashings in the Phenomenal World. In this literary masterpiece, Katie introduces us to the concept of flashings, those fleeting, transcendent moments where life's extraordinary beauty and profound insights reveal themselves. She believes that every moment holds the potential for such a flashing, if we're just present enough to see it. Today, Katie will share how the principles of flow and zen guide her throughout the many facets of her life, from the rugged trails of ultramarathons, the turbulent waters of rivers with her family, to the serene pages of her writing desk. We'll explore how these philosophies help her navigate the highs and lows, keeping her grounded and ever curious. So whether you're an avid runner, a nature enthusiast, or someone seeking a deeper connection with the world around you, stay tuned. Katie Arnold's insights promise to illuminate and inspire. In Character Talks, we aim to unearth the hidden gems of human resilience, courage, and growth. We bring you tales of ordinary people who found themselves in extraordinary circumstances and emerged from the crucible of life forever changed. From tales of facing fear head-on, to serendipitous encounters that altered destinies, and from travels to distant lands that broadened horizons. To battles fought within, we believe that every experience holds the potential to shape us in profound ways. I'm Chris Christie, and this is Character Talks.
Just after it's been cut, wade through the stream or maybe run through the river, even though you may get just a little bit wet. A bum bum sheeto, a bum bum sheeto. Wow, 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 wow. This is life.
Hey, welcome, adventurers, to another episode of Character Talks. And today's guest, you're going to love, because I'm super excited about this. Longtime journalist, former managing editor of Outside Magazine, which is like literally the only magazine that I subscribe to, author and elite ultra runner. And there's something about me is that when someone does things that I don't do, or they do things better than me, then I am all ears. Like I am all in on listening to that person. And so, Katie Arnold, welcome to Character Talks.
Thanks, Chris. What a nice intro. Yeah, I'm psyched to be here. Really great.
Yeah, I think this conversation can go in so many different directions based on all of your experiences. And again, things that I admire about someone. I would love to. I'm thinking about writing my own book, but I feel like sometimes I get stuck in 14 inches of mud as I'm trying to navigate through getting that started. And certainly when the Lord built me, he did not have ultra runner in mind. So there's just so many things that I respect about you, again, and also through our conversations. But to get started, can you kind of give myself and the listeners a kind of a Cliff Notes version of Katie Arnold and a little bit more about you so we have a baseline to go from?
Yeah, sure. I live in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and I have 2 teenage daughters and a husband and 2 dogs. I've lived here since 1995 when I moved out from the East Coast to take an unpaid internship position at Outside Magazine when I was a mere baby of 23 years old. And the position was supposed to last 3 months, and mine got extended to 6 months, and then I was hired. And I'm still here in Santa Fe. You know, my mother finally stopped asking when she should send my furniture out or when I was going to be coming back, because Yeah, I'm still here. And I worked for Outside for 12 years on staff, and I've been a writer for Outside and other publications since then, including the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal. And I, in 2006, when I left my job on staff, I really wanted to become a writer full time. And so, as I mentioned, I was doing freelance articles, and then starting in 2010, I realized I was working on a book, and that book was my first book, Running Home, which is largely about the death of my father and our very deep and kindred creative relationship, in addition to father-daughter. You know, he was a National Geographic photographer. He sort of showed me how to see the world, paying close attention, noticing the details. And that, of course, translates beautifully to writing. And so it was from him that I got my sort of spirit of adventure and a really deep hunger for creativity. So I wrote that book, and that book's largely about how I dealt with his death and the grief that followed by running farther and farther distances. And I've always been a runner my whole life, but it was after he died that I found solace in wild places, and specifically the mountains where I live in Santa Fe. And so I ran longer and longer in order to be in that natural world that felt so protective, and it just gave me solace. I went on to compete in many different ultra marathons, every distance from 50K to 100 miles. And I won many of those events. And so I was, an elite ultra runner. And then in 2016, and this is the subject of my new book called Brief Flashings in the Phenomenal World, I was in a very traumatic wilderness accident that left me very badly injured and unsure if I would ever run again. And that's largely what this book, Brief Flashings, is about, is kind of reckoning with this major turning point and kind of turning toward the ancient teachings of Zen, not in a religious way, but in sort of a way to live way, to heal me. And so, yeah, that's the story. And I'm still writing and still running. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, no, you definitely, yes, of course. As we spoke just before we got on, you were just finished your first leg of the book tour, so
Yeah,
you're still
I'm out in
rocking.
the world with the book, and it's great to see it kind of throwing its sparks as it goes.
Can we go back to the first book, Running
Mhm.
Home? I mentioned in the first podcast of the first episode of Character Talks that my word that I chose was forgiveness,
Mm,
because my dad was my hero when I was growing up.
mm,
But at the age of, he taught me the love of outdoors. He taught me to
mm,
fish. I remember catching my first brook trout at Fish River camps in northern Maine. And he
mhm,
taught me how to ski, and he gave me that love for the outdoors. And then
mm,
when I was 9 years old, all of a sudden alcohol was his choice instead of his
mm.
family. So he bolted and he was done. But I tracked him down when I was 20 because I needed to practice forgiveness. And I don't know
Mm,
why I chose to find him and track him down, but I did. And so, but it was life-changing for me. So you mentioned that after the death of your dad, you would go to the mountains and run because
mm,
you would find solace out there. What
mhm.
did that feel like when you got out there to run? If you broke it down into kind of an emotional, like what was that feeling? Did it, yeah, I don't want to give any, but what was
Yeah.
that feeling for you?
So just my grief took a form of acute anxiety. My father had died really quickly, well, 10 weeks from diagnosis to when he died. And I had just had a new baby. So I was in this sort of like perfect storm of postpartum grief, PTSD, all that stuff. And so my anxiety was that I was dying too. And I didn't know that that's a somewhat or not uncommon response when you lose someone to an illness. But I was sure of it. And so when I went running, I could believe that I was alive. And it was like proof that I wasn't dying if I could run 10 miles in the mountains. And then, little by little, it was proof that I wasn't dying when I could run 12 or 14. And so it was confirmation that my body was strong, even though my mind was trying to make every little ache and pain into like a terminal illness. And I really mean that. But it was also, this is the bigger thing, is when I was in the wilderness, like, you know how big nature is, and the natural world has seen everything. There's 200-year-old trees. There's the mountains that have been there, for thousands of years. And so I felt that it was big enough and old enough to have seen so much, and my problems and worries were small by comparison, and not in an insignificant way, or that I felt endangered because I was so small, but more like I felt held by this larger energy of the wilderness. And so it was peaceful. And I've always been an outdoors person. Like, my parents went through a divorce when I was very young, and I had a divided family and whatnot. And so being outside was always my safe place, and where I went to connect with myself, my own imagination, the natural world. And so it made total sense that I would want to go outside. I just would not have predicted that, I would be running, 2 or 3 hours at a time, and that my body would really do well with it. And so it just felt like a consoling response. And I could like sort of hear my father when I ran outside. Sometimes he would come to me when I ran, and so it felt like home, and I felt like myself again in the natural world versus someone who's like thought she was dying.
Yeah, I love that. Believe I was alive.
Yeah.
That's a super powerful
Believe I'm
statement.
alive. Sometimes we forget that. I mean, I think a lot of us move through our days, and that's kind of what my next book, Brief Flashings, is about, like forgetting we're alive, or forgetting what a gift it is to be alive. And not because we're not grateful, but because we're so overwhelmed by the information and the world coming at us, like in our palms and in our phones. And I just don't believe we're meant to move this fast. And I don't mean moving like as in running, because running fast is a good thing. But I just don't believe we're meant to react and respond to life coming so fast at us, because we do forget we're alive and this is our life.
Yeah. Yeah. And I try not to do a whole lot of advice
Yeah.
in the podcast, of course, because everyone goes through our own things. But
Yeah.
I hope people that are listening, if you are in that position where you're going through something, just go outside.
Yeah. Right.
Go outside, and you don't have to run an ultra marathon, because
No.
you didn't when you started. It went out
No.
just for a short run, and it could be a short walk. It could be just going
Yeah.
outside and sitting in the forest. But the forest offers us something that grounds us,
Yeah. We
and
feel part of something that's bigger than us, and that makes our problems seem smaller and more maybe manageable. Or you can also see the scale of time, like those trees can, I just got back from California on book tour, and like the redwoods are so old, and it's like they've weathered all these things. And so like maybe we can take some inspiration from that and be like, okay, we can get through this, not by denying our pain or our grief, but by like living right in it. I mean, and like you said, you certainly don't need mountains out your back door. You don't even need any nature. You can just go sit in your backyard or sit on your front steps and like feel the weather, bring a cup of coffee outside, look at a tree, and that's that kind of intimate connection with nature that is so healing.
yeah, the warmth of the sun
The
can
warmth of
do.
the sun.
And
Yeah.
I think that was an important thing that you just said, is that you're not replacing the grief, or you're not replacing the
No.
things.
Mm-mm.
You are purely just providing an opportunity to work through it, or to think through it, or
Yeah.
to just I'm actually doing a blog post next week about the importance of a pause.
Yeah.
Just pause and just be for a moment. And because the reality is, in this very second, life is pretty darn good.
Yeah.
It's when all of a sudden we start thinking ahead of, oh, what if this and what if that, and oh, I have to work through
Totally.
this, that all of a sudden the stresses occur. But if we just pause for a moment, which I think nature truly does for us,
Yeah.
it allows us just to go,
That
okay,
is such great wisdom. I'm totally with you, right? Because in this moment, yeah, things are good. And there's a million worries. I mean, like we know the earth is suffering. We know there's many people who are suffering. But if we can just be in this moment, and also I think gratitude is kind of that, is such a cure, is such a respite. And like again, we're not trying to shove the grief away, but it's like when we go into nature, we can like set it down for a minute. Like we don't have to carry it. And it's heavy. Like my grief was very physical. I felt like really worn down. So yeah, nature is so healing, and it can be a simple practice, like 5 minutes a day.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting. I didn't anticipate that the conversation would go this direction, but the
Mm,
idea of the mill, and I don't share kind of the reason, one of the reasons why I started the mill was I just truly believe, and if you look at the charactermill.com, the first thing that pops up is what defines who you are. And I just truly believe that when we go outside and we go on more adventures, we begin to learn more of who we are and what defines
mhm.
us. And when we have that understanding of what defines us and who we are, then the outside influences, whether it be social media, society, TV, all this other stuff, just doesn't have as much importance to us when we understand more, have
Yeah,
a bigger understanding of who we are. And so I think, again, what you just said, it just
yeah.
that grounding, oh, so important.
Yeah, I mean, just to be yourself. I mean, that's really, one of the themes in my book are these teachings of Zen Buddhism, which again, I don't find religious, and it's like you said, I feel like we're very kindred on this. Like it's not telling anyone how to live or what to do. Like it's not about hacks or like here's how to get enlightened. It's just sort of showing what I learned about Zen, which is not religious, but it's more like just living. And one of the ideas in Zen that's so simple is be yourself. Like we each have our own true way. And when we live from that place of genuine originality, authenticity is such a big word right now, but from that place, like we're so powerful. And only we can do that, right? No one else can be exactly you. And so it's a pretty wonderful thing when we think about it, just to like truly be yourself in each moment. And that is Zen. That is a Zen practice.
Yeah. We could go, we could do
Yeah,
a whole episode
I know.
on just
Part two.
that. But so let's go now, because I know there's a lot, you've done a lot of adventures. I've
Mhm.
read some of the things
Yeah.
you've done with rafting and these other things. So how do you define adventure?
I define adventure definitely as going out into the natural world, nature, wilderness. It doesn't always have to be in the remote backcountry, but it's where you take yourself out of your home environment and go into a wild place. And you are prepared, and you have a respect and a humility for the natural world, and you're also open to it's an adventure, so not everything will go to plan. And that to me is an adventure. And usually it entails being with friends, and moving your body, in a natural way. So, like under your own power. And they don't have to be these epically hard or long adventures. But it's about having, I would really say it's like about having an intimate relationship with the natural world and to go in with that open mind about what you will learn.
Yeah, open mind. Yeah.
Yeah, an open mind. In Zen, it's called beginner's mind, where you go in and you're sort of dropping your preconceived notions of what you know. And I've been a runner, as I said, for my whole life, but when I go out into the mountains with that beginner's mindset, instead of being like, I know how to do this, or I'm fast, or like holding tightly to identity, like the run is just has so much more freedom and joy to it. And so I try to go into adventures like that, which isn't to say you're not organized and prepared and, aware of the challenges. It's just that you also have to realize, like, this is an adventure. So we don't know exactly what's going to happen. I mean, that's true of life, isn't it? Like, we think we know, but we don't know. Like,
Oh,
I use the metaphor of a river because a lot of my book, Free Flashings, in the phenomenal world takes place on rivers. And, when you're on a river, it sounds like you're a fly fisherman. You can only see the bend you're on. You can't see all the bends ahead of you. So you have to be present. And so for me, adventuring is just a way to go out and first and foremost connect with the natural world. But then in doing so, like in connecting with the world's wildness, I'm definitely connecting with my own. And we all have that wildness, that sort of genuine self inside that needs to come out and sort of just be allowed to be ourselves and sort of loose from our cell phones and our to-do lists and our emails, and everything, and just be free.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the definitions that I love on adventure is embarking on something where the outcome is uncertain.
Yeah. Outcome unknown right.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like Zen is like, you make true effort in each moment with kind of true spirit and determination, which is a wonderful way to do anything. But you're doing so like without what's called gaining idea. So without like trying to get a result or, and adventures are different than races, right? And so to go in without gaining idea means that you are open to whatever happens, outcome independent of the outcome. So it's not based on a result. It's based on the experience, the process. And that's really what an adventure is, the process. It's not the final getting there, right? No one talks about on the river, like, we do a lot of river trips, like getting to the end. That's actually the saddest part of a river trip for me. I always want to stay on it. What you talk about is all the things, all the rapids you paddled before you got to the end and everything you did and saw. And so that's the adventure, is being present to the moment.
Yeah, I mean, isn't that ultimately that describes essentially in life? No, I mean, no one wants to die. No one wants to go. So we all have to appreciate the journey, which is essentially the adventure. And there's a person that I follow, Steve Hardison. He has this wonderful thing on his desk. Along with the date, he has a number next to that. And every day he takes one number away from it. And when asked, someone said, well, that's my QTL. And he said, well, what's the QTL? And he said, well, I anticipate I'm going to live, let's say, to about 80. And so from this day until I'm 80, I have this many days left. And so my QTL is quality time left.
Oh, man.
And so every day, if I feel like I'm a little down or I have a disagreement with my partner or something like that, we always come back to, is it really worth spending QTL on this?
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Oh my gosh. You know what? I just posted something today. I made a little video because I was thinking like last week on book tour, I ran into someone who made this comment, like we were winding down the day and like, and she's like, we're almost there. We're almost through. And I was like, we're not almost there. We're here. Like we're here right now. Like, why are we trying to get through this to the next thing? And you know how it is, like when you listen to the radio, which I still do, like I love local radio, but the DJs are always like halfway through the week, almost Friday, or like halfway through the month. Like, why is that a good thing? Like, I want to live all the moments I have.
Yeah.
Right. Good and bad. I mean, because they're really hard ones. But you don't want to wish it away because your QTL is just it's not going up.
Right. Yeah. What's that old saying of, we only live once. No, we only die once. We get to live every day.
Yes. Dang.
Yeah.
You are dropping some serious wisdom today. I love it. I love it.
I knew this was going to be good. Again, based on our previous conversation, we're aligned. So
we're aligned.
I think people that are listening, of course, they see the word. I always used to think that when I'd break the word out halfway through a podcast and everyone would be blown away. But then I finally remembered that I posted on the cover of the podcast. So the word is not a secret.
Yeah.
But based on the hints of rafting and being on the river and that type of thing, your word is flow. And how do you describe flow? What does flow mean to you?
Flow means living kind of in the moment and awake to all possibilities and moving with this mindful awareness through your days so that you are receiving creativity from everywhere, and you are kind of living with this ease and momentum. And so you have this naturally regenerating energy inside of you. And I notice I didn't say easy. It's not that all things are going to be easy, because there's really difficult times that you can be in flow. But it's with an ease where you feel that you are receptive and you're in the right place at the right time, and your energy is kind of propelling you forward, and synchronicities happen, and you meet people at the right time. And it feels like, that kind of knotty hold of resistance that we sometimes put on everything. You have dropped your resistance and you are like awake and receiving. And flow for me takes many forms. Like I find flow in writing and certainly running when I'm on rivers, just in my daily life sometimes, when you go for a dog walk and you're just like, it's like you're seeing your neighborhood for the first time and it's so beautiful. And that's a flow state. That's like hyper awareness. And the qualities of flow are like time will either speed up so that like you might be immersed in something and you'd be like, oh my gosh, 2 hours just went by, or it slows down and you become hyper aware. And so it's your very like sensory, and all your senses are alive. And it's just a beautiful place to be in. And I think, probably many people listening have felt that. And it's not always, I just want to say it's not only associated with like peak performance, right? Or like Michael Jordan, hitting the 3-pointer over and over, or me having like an incredible race. It's like moments of flow every day.
Can I share what, as you were talking, images popped into my head of
Yeah.
flow, and I hadn't really thought about it, but I was thinking flow, and I'm going, okay, if I think about a river, if I see just a river that seems to be flowing very slowly, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
But then I see rivers that have rocks in them that create these eddies and different backflows and all these other things that, and I don't know the words because I don't raft, although my wife
Right.
does. But there's so much character to these rivers.
Yeah.
And so we
Sure.
could either
Yeah.
look at these rivers going, oh, these big rocks that are popping up that are creating these eddies and all these things that as bad things, or we can go, wow, there's so much character to this
Yeah.
river. So when you're saying flow, I'm thinking, wow, that is such a metaphor for life, that
Yeah.
life isn't going to be that smooth river. And I don't think anyone listening wants their life to be
No,
that.
I think that
That
would be a little tedious. I mean, it could be lovely for a little bit. I'm not going to lie. But yeah, I
yeah,
have the saying in the book, Brief Flashings in the Phenomenal World, which is like something that I've always practiced as long as I've been in nature, and especially on rivers, which I've been doing rivers since I moved to Santa Fe in the mid 90s, which is like, don't push the river, right? So like you have to go with the river. Like you can't push the current upstream, you can't push a rock uphill. Like don't, go with it rather than against it. And even if that means going into some turbulent water, you're always better flowing with it than like resisting it. And that, putting the brakes on or bracing against it. I did that in Brief Flashings, and I write about that in great detail, and it did not work out for me. Like there was like a quite a traumatic injury that resulted. And so yeah, to be in that flow state is like a state of high receptivity, right? Like where you're going to the grocery store and instead of having your earbuds in, you're like listening to conversation, seeing these beautiful little moments. A friend of mine told me recently she was at the grocery store and she was with her 85-year-old mother and walking really slowly through the ketchup aisle, slowly, slowly. And a man caught her eye, an older man, and just gave her this really kind smile that was like, I see you. I see you with your mother in the grocery store walking, like at a snail's pace. And I know that's hard. And, she might not have seen that if she wasn't paying attention. And so that's flow. I mean, it's also what I call in the book brief flashings in the phenomenal world, are those moments of connectivity when we feel part of everything and it hits us. And they can be very fleeting. You don't need to be in a flow state every minute of your life, but boy, when you're in it, you feel it. It's like everything kind of aligns.
yeah. And I think maybe perhaps that's where the zen of the book
Yeah.
comes in, is going back to, you're not going to push that boulder
Mm-mm.
uphill.
Mm-mm.
You're not going to disrupt the flow of the
Yeah.
river. You just learn to navigate the
Yeah.
flow of the river. You learn to navigate life. You learn to take where you have opportunities to speed up, and then there are opportunities where you
Right.
just get to drift along
Yeah.
and appreciate the simpleness of just being here and floating slowly. And then there are times where
Yeah.
you really have to focus
Yeah. You
on
got to
on
paddle
the flow,
hard
and you got to paddle hard. And
and you got to make smart decisions and kind of look ahead. But yeah, it's all of that. There's times when it's, intense and there's a lot of rocks, literally. And then other times when it's like a lazy river and you're just, yeah, you can kick back.
so in the book, and it will get, for anyone that doesn't or is listening, we will be sure to
Hmm.
post all the stuff, brief flashings in the phenomenal world, all the links.
Hmm.
Katie's on a book tour right now, so we will get into all of that. Brief flashings.
Hmm.
What inspired the brief flashings? That's an interesting title.
Brief Flashings in the Phenomenal World is like a paraphrased line from a very famous Zen text that's called Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind, that was published in 1971. And it was a collection of Dharma or wisdom talks by this late Japanese Zen master, Shunryu Suzuki. And he passed away in 1971. And so these were his like wisdom talks gathered. And he was talking, what his quote was, there's these flashings in the vast phenomenal world. And those are those moments where like we see something that we might have seen every day, but it hits differently. And it makes us stop and realize, like I was saying before, like, oh my gosh, I'm alive. I'm alive right here in this moment. And it's like a little mini awakening or a little epiphany where you're like, I don't want to miss this these flashings are there. And the thing is, Chris, is they're happening all the time, right? They're not magic, but they might seem magical because like you might look up just the right moment and feel something or see something, but they really are happening a lot and they're all around us, but they're also in us. Like we are the flashings. I just came back, like I said, from book tour, and I spent a lot of time reconnecting with old friends. And that time with old friends, that is like nothing but flashing. That's just like, oh my gosh, I see my place in the universe, in time, and these people know my history, and I feel part of something. And so I kind of tweaked the phrase from that book to reflect sort of my experience with the flashings. And I have seen them a lot in my life. And I think that's partly because I have a mother who is attuned to delight and like those little moments. And so she would always see them and point them out to me. And or this might be like the way a cloud looks, or like the way the sun comes in through the window. Or I had a good one last week, like when my daughter, who's 13, got up and went to school. I peeked in her room after she was gone, and I could still see her little outline in the bed where she flung her sheets off, and then her little shoe, like her Nikes were on the floor and she hadn't even unlaced them. Like it looked like her feet were just in them. And that's like such a sweet moment. Those moments are the brief flashings. And I really think we have opportunities to see them all the time. And it's just a matter of kind of redirecting our attention to notice them, because they're really wonderful. I mean, that's really what it means to be alive, is to feel them and to feel that connection with another person, like a stranger you might pass on the sidewalk, or who gives you a look in the grocery store, or like this conversation right now, it's a flashing because there's a connection happening. Yeah, they're beautiful because they're ordinary.
I think of that, it's a choice to
Yeah.
for those brief flashings, like to
Hmm.
appreciate those little moments. And
Hmm.
it's not a prescription that you take.
Mm-mm.
It's not a the importance of meditation is a huge part of
Hmm.
my life, and I do it for 10 minutes
Yeah,
because
same.
that's about all
Hmm.
I can do. But I end it, and I was listening to a meditation the other day, and I've been doing it, been meditating for about 6 years,
Hmm.
and the person said, open your eyes and just be.
Hmm.
And I sat for the first time in a long time and just looked outside my front yard, and just like the world stopped. I would swear to God
Hmm.
that the clock stopped. And I looked outside, and
Yes.
I just all of a sudden a chickadee came up, and I just sat there and just all of a sudden appreciated so many things that I just take for granted.
Yeah. Or don't see at all,
Or
right?
don't see it all. That's probably even more important, as I don't even see them at all. So if I don't see them, how can I appreciate them? So, but it's all of a sudden I saw them, and
Yeah.
that's I love brief flashings. I think
Yeah.
that's so powerful.
It's a choice. And also it's like you said, it's a practice. It's like, okay, today, let's see, like I want to hold this idea that I might see more or that I might be receptive to the flashings. And so again, it's not holding on to it like today I will see 6 flashings and I will check them off my list and it's the bucket list and all that. That's that gaining idea we talked about that can really make us tight and with wanting. But it's just more like, oh, I'm going to go on my walk this morning. Like, I wonder what I'll see, and as a writer, especially, and, with your interest in writing, like those flashings are like awesome for writing. I mean, that's how to write is to pay attention to the little details or the snippets of conversation you overhear or like a silhouette through a window and you're like, I wonder what, like that's an interesting scene. I wonder what's happening. And then you can like make up stories about it. And so it's also really deeply part of, for me, my creative practice of like walking around like with my eyes wide open because there's inspiration everywhere. And the least of it is on our phone. I hate to say. I mean,
Right.
I'm happy to say, it's not going to be on your social media feed. Maybe, I mean, if there's like moments that, again, like little flashings where you can feel something on social media. But if you're only going there, which I feel like increasingly people are doing, maybe the mill is the exception, right?
Well, and I'm glad you mentioned, because that is exactly what we're trying to be. Is
Yeah.
I don't want people to have tired thumbs on the mill
Or tired
from scrolling.
or like dejected thoughts of like, why can't I live like that?
Yeah,
That is universal. I don't think there's one person in the world who's on social media as it exists right now who doesn't sometimes feel like, oh shit, I wish it were better.
yeah, no, and that's the hashtag that I use for the mill is the hashtag multivitamin of social media. Like
Yeah.
just take us once a day, you'll feel better. I don't want people to come in
Uh,
and scroll. I want people
no,
to come in, and
live.
if they're feeling a little bit down, then come in and get a little bit inspired and then go do it. Just go
Yeah.
out and go live life. And when you have a moment, yep, I'll just check you in. But yeah, no, we're not. That's the idea of
Yeah.
the mill, is that I don't want to be that. I don't want to be the tired thumbs and the scrolling, and I don't want to be an option for your day. I want to be an addition
Right.
to your day
Yeah.
type thing. So,
Right. It's
um,
not a substitute for the flashings. Like the
not a
flashings
substitute, 100%.
are outside. And I don't mean just outside in the world, like outside in the fresh air, though they are, but like my dog just walked upstairs and so he's like this big lump of fur. He's kind of a flashing. So he's inside with me, but like they're like tactile. They're like alive in the world, not on a screen. They're not facsimiles of the thing, right? They're the thing itself.
Yeah,
IRL, isn't that the saying?
right. Yeah. I mean, I think if it gets your heart rate going a little bit and gets your body core up a little bit,
Yeah.
that qualifies. And
Yeah.
whatever that looks like for you is
Yeah.
wonderful.
Definitely.
Wow. Love this.
Yeah.
Many awakenings. That was
Many
I love
awakenings, little
that.
mini awakenings. Yeah. And the thing with the like awakenings is that, like in Zen practice, like having that like enlightenment moment is not like the end of the line. It's not like, oh, I'm enlightened, like, I'm good for life. It's constant and continuous, right? You don't just get there and then it's like, well, I checked that off the list and now I'm like an enlightened Zen master. It's like, no, you have to bring that spirit into your regular life and live that way. And I think that, the way to live an awakened life is to look for the flashings. And those flashings connect us to other humans, which is obviously an important like source of compassion and like putting yourself in someone else's shoes. They connect us to our own imagination, which is, the wellspring of creativity. They connect us to the natural world, which is how we become better stewards of the natural world. And they connect us to our bodies, which is how we become better like caretakers of our like physical selves. So it's like they're fundamental. And I think we just overlook them too much. They're like multivitamin of life, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, so I'm not a big bucket list guy.
Yeah.
I'm more of a we're going to coin the phrase life list because
Yeah. Life list.
I look at it as I don't want to do things before I kick the bucket because there's a negative connotation to that. I want to do things while I'm living, so it's my life
Yeah.
list. And adventure clearly is a big part of
Yeah.
what you do. What's the next adventure? What's down the road? What are things on your life list?
Yeah. I have a big list, but again, it's like you, I'm sort of wary of making a list because then that becomes this thing to tick off. So I'm a little bit more like serendipitous with the adventures. Like we just got back from, well, not just, but in March we did a section of the Camino de Santiago walk in Spain, and which is a very famous pilgrimage, spiritual pilgrimage that people have made for, thousands of years. And we did a section, my husband and daughters and I. So and that we pulled together with like a month to spare. But it came from this intuitive place. And I will say that like flow is a word that encompasses several other really important words in my life, one of which is intuition and listening to that intuitive voice, because it is your knowing place and it's in your body, not your brain as much, and it will guide you to the right thing. So a lot of times when I have these sort of hunches or these feelings of like, gosh, maybe I'll go do this or that, or we should try to plan that, it might not on the surface look like it makes total sense, or like, how can you plan this trip to Spain with like 4 weeks notice? But that intuitive hunch is really important to listen to, because also it gets overruled a lot by, our rational minds and our thinking minds. And but so I don't, I hold my adventures lightly and sort of allow what comes in to guide me. We'd love to go to Patagonia and do some trekking down there, and take our girls to see animals in Africa. There's so many places. We do a lot of river trips, so I'm hoping to get some more rivers on the calendar this summer. We always manage to do 2 or 3 a year. We didn't get any permits this year. You have to do it by lottery. And so we're going to have to stock the cancellation list and try to get some. But always rivers, mountains, being in wilderness, taking our daughters to see different parts of the world is so important. But that even too, I go back and forth on, or not back and forth, but I have moments where I'm like, it's so good right here. And you also want to really have a relationship with your home place. And that I think gives, everyone, you have such a deep, deep roots, feed us. And like, I don't think I could ever be like the van life person, because I need like to have that intimate feeling with the place. I'm riding the Leadville 100 mountain bike race, which is a 100-mile mountain bike race in Colorado in August. And so that's a big adventure on my list.
Yeah.
And
Episode number 2 of Character Talks is a young lady from Vale that has
okay.
done that race a couple times.
Okay.
And
Might need to listen.
I believe she's doing it again.
Okay.
So,
yeah. And it's funny because I'm a runner, right? And so I'm like, I love, I'm such a minimalist. That's why I love running. There's not very much gear to take care of except your body and like, your shoes and whatnot. And but my intuition was just like, hey, try the mountain bike race. I used to really be into mountain biking before I had kids and life got busy. And so I put my name in for the lottery and I got drawn. And now the trick for me is like, I'm a runner who just likes to ride or bike a lot. And I need to stay in that mindset. The minute I start thinking of it as like training or like trying to do it the way other people do it, I lose the joy. And I never train like any, other people. I don't follow a training plan. I kind of just go with my intuition with what feels good. And I mean, what feels good does not just mean like literally good, but like what I'm moved to do, because sometimes you push yourself hard and that doesn't, that feels good in a different way.
yeah, that's important. I mean, you have to enjoy. I was at one time training to do Ironman Florida, and I remember one morning I woke up early and got I don't know, I got a good swim in, and it was a brick day, and then I got a good like 60-mile bike ride in. I came home and the family was just waking up, and I thought, oh, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I looked at my training plan and realized that I was supposed to do a 10K run. And instead of feeling excited that I had done everything I did, I just got deflated going.
Yeah.
And it was on that day I pulled out of the race because I was like, no, this isn't fun anymore.
Right.
And I just did something that 98% of the world
Yeah.
isn't going to do, and I should feel really excited. And
Yeah.
somehow I had put this limitation or stipulation on me that if I didn't do this, then the day wasn't successful. I'm like, no,
Right. Like you have to fit into these boxes. And the
yeah.
truth is, like, we don't fit into boxes. And, training is hard. But I like to think of it more in the Zen way of like, it is true effort, right? Like you make a true effort and you show up with dedication and determination, but it should still reflect your own values. It should be an expression of your individual self, not like some cookie cutter plan. That sort of kills the spirit for me.
I think that's an important thought. True effort.
Yeah, true effort.
Like, wouldn't it be great if we all just approached every single day
Yeah.
with just true effort? Like at the end of the day, you can sit back regardless and go, yep,
And
I
true effort is here's the secret. True effort is like independent of results, right? It is
100%.
not outcome dependent. True effort is like, yeah, did I, like just in my own life, did I make a full effort today on behalf of the book that I've just put into the world? If I did, then I can let go of needing it to be a certain way. Of course there's the ego in me wants it to, do all these great things, but all I can really do is make true effort in the moment. And
That's
that's very liberating, if we can live it from that place. Again, sometimes the ego gets in the way.
yeah. And the ego is, yeah, that, well, again, that's a whole nother podcast
The
is
ego's a
the
tyrant.
ego's a mess. Yeah. And I was just having this conversation with one of my athletes because he kept apologizing. Like he wouldn't,
Mm.
the past, he didn't succeed in the play and he would kept apologizing. And I finally pulled him aside and I said, are you apologizing because you didn't complete the pass or because you didn't give me your best effort?
What
And
did he say?
he said, because I didn't complete the pass. And I said, well, that's whether you
Yeah.
complete the pass or not. There's so many other factors that are involved
Yeah.
as whether he catches it and whether the wind, like,
Right.
did you give me your best effort?
Right.
Your true
Your
effort.
true
Now
effort.
that's a word
Yeah.
I'm going to use now in
True
coaching.
effort.
I'm like, did you give me everything you had? And he said,
Hmm.
yes, coach. And I said, then don't ever
Yeah.
apologize. Like that's a
No.
beautiful thing. The fact that you did that and you can
I,
recognize that you did that.
yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
And I just so believe just through my years of running and writing practice that when you do give true effort, there is actually no such thing as failure. Like and I have won the biggest race in the country and I have finished like dead last in another big race. And the honest truth is at the end of both races, I had the same emotions of like disbelief that I'd done it, this kind of like teary euphoria that like I had done something so hard and this like amazing connection to the people who'd helped me. And I was like, wait, I know this feeling. And then I was like, oh, it's the same exact feeling I had when I won the biggest race in the country. And so that I was like, there is no difference between winning and losing because when you make a true effort, you can't fail.
Yeah. So many good things
Yeah.
happening in the last 45 minutes. So I want to go back to brief flashings in the phenomenal world. I
Mhm.
want to go back to the book. Where is it available? And I'll put
It's
some links in,
available.
but
It's available everywhere. It's available at your local bookstore. If they don't stock it, ask for it and they will order it. Bookstores love to make orders if they don't have it on their shelves, or in the case, as I've been finding, it's been sold out. They'll order it and you can get it like within a couple of days. So it's just as good as the online outlets and better because you're supporting a local independent bookstore. And we know that bookstores are the heart of our creative communities. So you can get it online at the usual places, you know where that is, but you can also get it at your local bookstore. And you can find out all about my book tour and where I'm going. And if any of your listeners are in the areas where I'm going, I would love to say hi at book talks. And that's where I sign books and read from my book. And my website is katiearnold.net. And you can also find a link to, I write a weekly Substack on process. So all things process. So running, writing, life, and a lot of the themes we talked about here. And that's, you can find a link to that on my website.
and I have to ask because Katie, because in the bottom of the one of the books that I'm, in the bottom right-hand corner
Uh-huh.
of the cover of your book says Zen and the Art of
Yeah.
Running Free.
Yeah.
One of my favorite books I read was a kid was Zen and the Art of
Yeah.
Motorcycle Maintenance.
Yeah.
Was there was is that a was there
I mean, Yeah, the Zen and the Art is like a classic reference to that book, which is, about motorcycle maintenance, but is essentially about all of life. And so publishers love to throw on a subtitle because it gives like booksellers not like an idea of where to put the book in the bookstore. And I love this one because running free to me does not just mean literally running, but it's like being yourself, being free, moving through the world in a genuine, wholehearted way. But the subtitle could just as easily be like Zen and the Art of Writing, Zen and the Art of Staying Married, Zen and the Art of Life, right? Because all of these things, come into play in the book. And Zen, like I said, is not a religion. It's just a way to be.
A way to be.
It's a way to be, yeah, like that we can all use right now. It's a very beautiful, simple way of being.
And if someone reads the book, which I hope everybody does,
Yes.
and the fun part of what we're going to do here is, of course, we want everyone to go download the mill. And what
Yeah.
we truly believe is what social media is supposed to be. We want people to check it out. But if you listen to this podcast and you go into the mill and you download it and you see the posting in the cafe of this and you make a comment, then after a couple weeks after we launch it and it goes live, we're going to send off a couple free signed copies of the book for folks as a little perk, a little contest, if you will, of saying thank you for listening to the podcast and supporting Katie and supporting the mill and everything else. But what's if you had one takeaway or one thought, like when someone reads the book and they sit back for a moment, what do you hope they're thinking? What do you
you're alive in this moment and the flashings are going on all around you, and be alive now, like in your life this moment. That simple.
And that, Katie, is a perfect way to end this conversation.
We're alive.
Oh, that is fantastic. Katie,
that was great.
This
You're
has been
such
fantastic.
a good interviewer. Yeah, you got, we were like on like a mind meld going there for a minute.
Yeah, there was so much.
It's so great to meet someone who is like shares those values and just radiates that kind of energy of possibility. Yeah.
I appreciate that. Well, thank you for joining me on this episode.
Thank you so much. It's been a blast.
As we wrap up this enlightening episode of Character Talks, we extend our deepest gratitude to Katie Arnold for sharing her remarkable journey with us. From her inspiring stories about battling through some of the toughest ultra running races in the world to her profound insights on living a life guided by flow and a Zen mentality, Katie's experiences remind us all of the power of perseverance, curiosity, and mindfulness. Her book, Brief Flashings in the Phenomenal World, is not just a collection of moments, but a testament to the beauty and wisdom that can be found in every step of our journey. Katie's resilience, especially in the face of serious injury, and her dedication to leading a life filled with purpose serves as an inspiration to us all. Before we go, we have an exciting announcement. We invite you to join us on The Mill, the new social media platform designed to inspire new adventures and help us appreciate the world around us. It's a space where like-minded individuals come together to share their stories, dreams, and discoveries. And here's a special offer for our listeners. If you comment about today's podcast episode in the cafe section of The Mill, you'll be eligible to receive a free copy of Katie Arnold's book. Don't miss this chance to dive deeper into the phenomenal worlds she so eloquently describes. Thank you for listening, adventuring, and supporting The Mill. Together, let's continue to explore, inspire, and celebrate the extraordinary moments in our everyday lives. Until next time, keep seeking those brief flashings in your phenomenal world and adventuring more.
Treat the world the way you want to be treated. And seize the day just like you are. Walk through the grass